Okay, cool. Anyway, carry on. So,
Right, so do you want me to recap anything for you, or...?
We can recap it. Sunday night. Give it a minute anyway, people start to join. Wagwan.
Where's it gone? Oh, is it here? Yeah, so what, is there anything you want me to sort of go over again, or...?
So I'm also I'm on that convo I just recorded. I'm gonna try and, because I've got this AI software which allows you to make like images and people. I'm gonna try and make an AI picture to that voice note explaining. Do you know what I mean? Like So we've established that.
Are you putting this on Instagram, or?
This is just on TikTok right now. 6 people. Wagwan, Ellie Button. Thank you. I'm trying to get to 10,000 likes. But anyway, so we're establishing the story of the fallacies of some of these mythical stories.
I like that, because fallacy sounds so close to Pharisees, which were like the people in charge of holy law at the time of Jesus.
Wow.
It's a good choice of words.
Okay, cool. So, I wasn't aware that Adam and Eve weren't the first 2 humans in biblical history. Yeah, that's what we've established.
Yeah.
Yeah, and actually there was a woman before called Lilith, who was Adam's partner.
First wife. Well,
first wife.
Given that there wasn't anyone else, they're referred to as his first wife. Yeah, certainly.
Okay,
first companion, if you want.
First companion. And the story is that Lilith wanted to, when it came to being in partnership together in union with Adam, wanted to be on top. But Adam wanted to be on top. Missionary. We also discovered that the word missionary comes from when the English went over to India for the first time, and they were so mind blown by the Kama Sutra and all the different positions that the Indians called it was the Indians that coined it.
The Indians called it the missionary position because they couldn't believe that the sort of white Christian folk only did one position. They thought, that's so boring.
Yeah.
And your missionaries will call it the missionary position because, you know, you look at the Kama Sutra, everyone's looping the loop and defying the ground, twisting up and everything.
Yeah. And it's, and it's, you can see it in all of their temples and all of their statues. They're very open when it comes to their sexual liberation. So it was the Indians that coined the term missionary, because the men, they would only missionary position, because it was only the men, that was the only position the English knew of or felt comfortable in.
Basically, it's the only one that was really allowed, mostly because of the things like the Bible and religious autocracy.
Okay, so that's unreal. And so taking it back to the story of Lilith didn't want to only do missionary, having Adam on top. And this is all in the Bible, yeah? This isn't this is from the Old Testament.
Yeah, it's all...
Yeah, this is...
A lot of it's been excised from it, but yes.
A lot of it has been exercised. Where does it get exercised to?
Oh, well, basically, so you look at things like there's so many books, like for example, the Nephilim, who are the offspring of angels and human beings. They had a whole book, and that was taken out. So it's one of those things that have been edited out and taken... Like, the Bible's been chopped and changed so much. So there are, like, various sort of texts, apocryphal biblical texts, which basically all that means is they were in the Bible, they were, you know, vegan, kosher, and 100% legit, and then they were removed.
Wow, okay.
Usually for, you know, either ecumenical or 99% of the time just political reasons.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so Lilith was a feminine force. And as we were saying, any story involving Lilith post the Bible, written by men, is usually her being demonic, the queen of vampires, that kind of thing. Always something parasitical and something awful. You know, and there are stories about her, you know, sleeping with fallen angels, up to and including, you know, Samael, who we know as Lucifer because of a mistranslation.
Wow, okay, really powerful. This is literally blowing my mind. So Lilith was cast out of the Garden of Eden.
Yep.
Yeah, by God.
Yep.
Because she was too powerful, too sexually liberated, and wanted no longer to have coitus. Is that the word? Yeah.
Oh yeah, right. So basically, it's the sexual position is somewhat allegorical, because what it really means is it literally means that as well. But what was being said is she didn't want to be submissive.
I understand that she didn't want to be submissive, but I love the facts and the black and white data. And it actually said she did not want to be in a missionary position.
Yes, she did not want to just lay down for Adam.
Wow, yeah, incredible. So comes the story of Eve. And so Eve fundamentally is some kind of subhuman like version of Lilith, because she's actually born from the rib of Adam. So it's not even an independent, powerful feminine force external to the patriarchy, external to masculine energy. it's like the woman had to come from the patriarchy. That's what kind of the story.
Precisely,
that's what
yes.
it seems, you know.
So the woman would not exist if not for the man. Is the key.
Goddess energy, exactly. Yeah, exactly. So that's really incredible. Okay, so this is where we was talking about the ideas. So, if from the Christian perspective of the Old Testament, and we're talking about the old school Christian, you know, not the kind of the developed ones that are looking at the Bible more wisely. They, you know, the ones that truly believe the metaphorical stories. Yeah, Adam and Eve, first of all, being the mother of Cain and Abel, coming from the rib of Adam, they had 2 children only. So at this point, there's now 4 humans on the planet only in this realm.
And they're outside of Eden, so they're mortal, remember?
And so they're outside of Eden, so they're mortal. So these aren't demigods, nothing like that. These are just good old humans, yeah.
God has taken away their immortality.
And so at this point, there's only 1 female and there's 3 men. Yeah, 2 sons and Adam. Cain and Abel. I don't really know about the Bible. This is why it's blowing me away. We've got 50 people right now live. This is incredible. Cain and Abel, brothers,
have an argument.
Cain kills Abel, or the other way around.
Cain kills Abel. He's the first murder. Okay, so here's the thing. So Cain, the story is they have an argument. Cain basically takes the jawbone of what was it? The jawbone of an ass, as they say, and basically just stabs him to bits with it. Okay? God's punishment for Cain is that he will have a mark put upon him, and that anything that harms Cain will have God's vengeance 7-fold visited upon them. And Cain is cursed with immortality. And God is almost like the patron saint of murder, if you like, in that instance. It's not really what we're talking about, but
yeah.
But because the idea is Cain is cursed with, he'll never see heaven. Because he did that. But that leaves you with Adam, Eve, and Cain.
Someone's just asked about Lilith. We're going to go there. But I need to see more likes, guys. I want to see 5,000 likes at least. Got 75 people, man. This is Ryan, by the way. This is who's here.
Hello there.
Yeah.
You may remember from previous podcasts on Indigo's channel.
Yeah. We've been decoding the Bible and Christianity and all different faiths. It's just right now we're interested in the Bible, and especially because I believe there's the rise of the Christian Reich. So many people are going back to the Bible to try and decode these very difficult times, and so it's great to literally, if you could see our screen right now, we're watching something called, what's it called?
1946, the mistranslation that changed the world.
1946, the mistranslation that changed the world, and it's speaking about how, you know, a lot of people claim Leviticus justifies homophobia, and it absolutely doesn't. So if you're a gay person, that's a great documentary to watch. 1946. It's actually,
the mistranslation that shifted culture.
The mistranslation that shifted culture. So that's something to definitely look.
It's a very recent film. It's only 3 years old. It's well worth checking out.
Okay, yeah. Where can you stream it? Do you know?
That is an outstanding question.
You have to find it somewhere, but just search for it. Yeah,
it is findable. It is not hard to find, I promise.
Yeah.
So we're left with the expulsion from paradise.
Please carry on. Yeah. Okay.
So you mentioned about homophobia and whatnot. Now we've got Adam and Eve and Cain. Okay. A lot of homophobes say, "Oh, it's Adam and Eve, not Adam and Steve." That's their sort of sign. But let's not kid ourselves. If we're taking the Bible remotely literally, we've got Adam, Eve, and Cain. So even if it's not Adam and Steve, okay, it's got to be Eve and Cain. So your choice is...
Are you getting this?
Your choice is inbreeding. So basically, if you think about it, anyone who says it's not Adam and Steve, what they're really arguing is we prefer our human race inbred rather than acknowledge the idea that some people are homosexual. So something to think about.
So I don't know if anyone's... This is just simple facts. This is why I love Ryan. It really makes it simple for me, yeah? So if the story was true, Adam and Eve, yeah, they had 2 children only, yeah? Cain and Abel. And then Cain killed Abel. So at this point in history, there was only 3 humans left on the planet. Adam, Eve, and their son Cain, yeah?
Yeah.
That meant if there was to be more humans, Cain had to have slept with his mother. 67 people on the call. Someone tell me that this isn't crazy. Like, surely the 3,000 likes, yes. Big up Taylor. I hope someone understands that. That's crazy, right? Adam and Eve. Adam and Steve. And by the way, I'm someone who grew up with a homophobic Rastafarian stepfather, and he would shout out of the window, it's Adam and Eve, not Adam and Steve. So this is really beautiful to me to be able to actually just learn about these things. And let me just read some of these comments quickly. Jesus.
Okay. just because I did a quick bit of maths.
Go on.
You need at least 50 breeding couples for a stable genetic database. And you
So wait. If it, like there's not a chance in hell that just two people could like populate billions of
no,
people.
because think about it. You end up with kids breeding with kids.
Oh yeah. Otherwise,
Basically.
so there has to be some. But then where did these organic different families all come from? If not from one source?
Well, there you go. Which is when you get back to the sort of, because evolutionarily speaking, you've got. I mean, it's kind of not literally, but a primordial soup, and you've got amino acids joining together to form proteins. That's not happening. It's not one set of amino acids combining to form proteins. It's millions of others.
I love it.
And then they evolve, and you've got longer and blah, blah, blah. There's a species of frog. In fact, if you go over like the last X million years, what has become the frog, male frogs literally would breed with as many other species as they could in order to survive, because the way their sort of propagating drive worked was...
Sounds like all my uncles, but...
basically investigate. So there's lots of amphibian genetic crossover, because some species of what we call frog now are breeding with trying to breed with as many things as they can.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's basically 50 breeding couples, or 50 breeding individuals, or 25 couples, and you need 500 individuals or 250 couples for long-term evolutionary stability. That's the bare minimum. And that requires, bear in mind, that's a small group. That's the smallest group mathematically you can have, where you can have a stable genetic database and have a species not being bred. But that also requires, more or less, a fundamental lack of monogamy for at least 3 or 4 generations, if I'm not mistaken. So that means that...
Fundamental lack of monogamy?
But basically, right, put it this way. Every woman would have to have... Now, if we're doing this on a very sort of modern thinking, every woman would have to have at least 3... breeding partners for at least, I think, about 4 generations roughly, and you'd have to keep track of all of that in order to have enough of a genetic database where it would be okay for the human race to exist without being inbred. And even then, you've got to keep track of it. I mean, it's a bureaucrat's nightmare, but yeah.
Taylor, someone said this: Jesus is a recycled story in the most respectful way. It's a metaphorical message.
He's
absolutely agree.
Right. I mean, the whole rising 3 days, and the virgin birth. I mean, that's replete in most cultures.
Let's tap this screen, guys. Let's get to 5,000 minimum.
Yeah.
The end times are very similar according to Christians and Muslims. I'm sure it is. Both coming from the same kind of Abrahamic source, I guess.
Well, here's the thing you got to remember. Okay, this is how I think of it. Okay, the Star Wars trilogy.
Someone said there was more people outside the Garden of Eden.
It's not in the Bible, there wasn't.
Yeah, come on, Moods. Where'd you get that information from?
I mean, if you're talking about other Apocrypha, great, knock yourself out. I mean, I'm genuinely interested in that. But here's the thing. Think of it like this. Judaism, Christianity, and the Muslim faith. It's like Star Wars: A New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, and Return Jedi. Okay? But here's the thing. They've all got very dangerous phrasing in it, and I don't want to upset anyone Muslim listening.
Yeah.
But I know you put me on when I get listening.
You're on the front lines, isn't it?
If you look at the Quran, the phrasing of it is particularly controversial because, and I say this in the most respectful way, it says this is the final religion. There is nothing after this. It definitively states anything after this is completely invalid. Now, every religion says people X are the chosen people, and this is the only way, and the only way into heaven is through this God and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you look at the phrasing, it's very, very deliberate. The Quran is very deliberately phrased. Now, obviously, that's been translated, and I know a lot of people will say that, for example, if it's not in the original, like Arabic, etc., it's not valid.
Yeah.
So there is that element to it. My Arabic is not that great, but but I do know that
and he knows.
I do know that the translation, it says this is the final word.
Yeah.
Which is very deliberate phrasing. Like I said, everyone's got their chosen, everyone thinks they're the chosen people according to their particular religion. But like I said, there's a definitive trilogy in the Abrahamic religions.
Yeah.
Each one progresses because you've got, Judaism, and then Jesus comes along. And from that, Christianity exists. Even though we can fairly well infer that Jesus did not want it to be called Christianity because he was king of the Jews. He considered himself Jewish.
Yeah.
He didn't consider himself put my name on the religion. And then after that, you have Muhammad, who historically was, you know, it's an interesting story because Muhammad was a warlord. That's not a lie. That's not me telling anyone off or anything. He was literally a warlord who was told, you know, that he was, you know, the new chosen one, etc., etc. So it's all, you know, like I said, it's a trilogy. They're all intrinsically linked. They're all Abrahamic, as we said.
Exactly. Someone said here, 0 books of the Bible were written while Jesus was alive.
Yeah, oh yeah. Right.
Go on, Louise.
You've got to remember that the Bible is not one book. It's lots and lots. It's an anthology. It's lots and lots of little stories.
When Jesus returns, he will follow Islam. Sorry. Let's go.
Well, technically he should. I mean, weirdly, technically he should if you think about it.
Yeah.
If and please do not take this the wrong way. When I say if, I'm talking about in the context of what's been said tonight. But if we take all of these things as completely valid and 100% one-to-one, then yes, in theory, Jesus, because remember, Jesus is mentioned in the Quran.
Yeah.
When Muhammad is spoken about as the sort of latest prophet, Jesus is there in the sort of like as like he was the guy before.
But we're talking about in their words, in their doctrine, in their theory.
Yes, it's literally in the Quran that Jesus is mentioned in the Quran. So, where were we?
The Hamadi text is, yes, my Gnostic queen. I love that. Yeah.
So
75 people. Come on, guys. Let's get more likes on this.
So, I've forgotten the last thing I was saying now.
Jesus. What was he saying, guys? Someone drop a comment.
Like I said, they're like a trilogy, and the beliefs do follow on.
Yes.
But like I said, the key thing is, I mean, when you look at the Bible, yes, the right timing of the Bible, yes, that was it.
Yes.
So it's an anthology. It was written by lots of different people. It was translated Aramaic, Greek, Latin. Most of the time, it was put into languages to deliberately obscure it and keep it away from regular people. Like for example, I mean, Indigo and I would never have been allowed to read it. We wouldn't have been literate. And it would have been in the Greek or the Latin, which would only have been taught to the clergies and what have you. So it was deliberately designed to be mysterious, somewhat impenetrable, and
to take away from the original writings of Aramaic.
Aramaic,
because it's like, you know, there were so many more words to describe the word love or something,
yes,
and then you bring it into the English language, and it's like, do you have a portable charger, by the way? Any charge?
Is that a biblical question? What kind of phone is it?
I've got a cable, but just I need a charger. It's an iPhone.
Oh, I've got an iPhone cable.
Unless we just switch places and I just use sit there for a minute.
Have you got, if you want to plug your cable in, yeah.
I've got 6%. This is we've got 80 people on a Sunday listening to Jesus. This is great.
On a Sunday, you should be ashamed of yourself.
On a Sunday, you should be in church, mate, or praying.
There you go.
What, is there a cable?
Oh, yeah, you want me to get a cable as well? Sorry.
No. I need just somewhere to plug it into.
Yes, there's the plug there.
Oh, I sit on this side then.
Oh,
okay, so I sit on this side. All right.
Yeah.
Perfect.
You literally just said let's change position.
Yeah, cool. And that's what Lilith said. Yeah. Oh my God.
There you go. Biblical humour.
Oh my God.
Right, I'm going to put the bigger light on if you're going to.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, there you go.
Is my Hazy Jane there?
Which one?
One of them.
This one's still got something in it.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
80 people. Guys, I'm trying to get to 10,000 likes, yeah? Jesus needs to be on TikTok.
So the key thing is the Bible is an anthology, okay? It's a series of stories that are interconnected. You get many that overlap. None of them were written by Jesus. As I was saying before, he's the only sort of main character that doesn't have his own say in it, okay? There's no gospel of Jesus. There's rumours of it, and you hear about the Vatican Black Library and all that stuff. And it's fairly likely that if there is one, it probably contradicts everything else in the Bible, because the bits we do get of Jesus that sound, when I say authentic, I don't mean this in an insulting way, but that sound like his true beliefs, are often the ones that say, love everyone unconditionally and what have you. But that's like the smallest fraction. Remember, he also says, I come not to bring peace but a sword, which contradicts everything else he says. He also says...
he does, doesn't he? Yeah.
Yeah, he also says, render unto Caesar that which is Caesar's, which weirdly came about and was only introduced into the Bible after Constantine and the Holy Roman Empire took over and kind of released the Bible, if you like. And suddenly, Jesus is not a rebel or anything like that. And he's saying, yeah, we should pay our taxes on time. And because Caesar, well, it's technically pronounced Kaiser. There's no soft C in Latin. So Caesar is Kaiser, which means king. Okay? and obviously Constantine would have been the Kaiser or king of the Holy Roman Empire. Emperor, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And so we've got all of this stuff, and you go from Genesis to say Exodus or whatever. That those stories are so badly edited. There's clearly a huge chunk that's been cut out in between.
Yeah.
So that again shows.
Let's do a recap. Yeah. Just because we got 90 people. Yeah. Okay. So we've gone on the live because I was having a private convo with Ryan, and Ryan shared something with me which just blew my mind, which was Adam and Eve aren't the first two humans in the biblical history. And I said, what do you mean? That's what I've always known. I don't know too much about the Christian religion. And he said, actually, there was a woman before called Lilith. Now, Eve came from the rib of Adam, yeah, but Lilith was an independent, organic, external entity, and they were together, right? They were like a couple.
They were. There was only two people, so they were de facto married.
They were de facto married, yeah. And so what was crazy was the reason that Adam no longer liked Lilith and God didn't like Lilith. It was because Lilith, and this is what it says in the Old Testament, didn't want to do it in the missionary position anymore. She wanted to be on the top. And Ryan also educated me that the word missionary position comes from when the English went to India for the first time, and they were so mind blown by the Kama Sutra and all of the different deities having sex in all these different positions that the Indians actually termed the term missionary when a man just goes on top of a woman. It's just very basic because they were the missionaries from England. Yeah, so
that's all they knew. That's the only position they knew.
So that's incredible and just insane from the start.
It's important to add that the missionaries massively disapproved of how the Indians had sex.
Oh, okay. So they thought missionary was the best.
They were white Christians, and it was like, no, man goes on top. That's how it is in the Bible, more or less.
Vanilla. Yeah, someone said vanilla.
Yeah. Well put. Yeah.
Well put. Yeah.
Well put. So ice cream.
So I hope you're up to date with us. 81 people, man. Let's get to 10,000 likes. So basically, Lilith was cast out of the Garden of Eden.
Yep.
And then God made Eve out of the rib, obviously, of Adam in Eden still.
Yeah, still in Eden.
So they're still in Eden now. So, and the reason and the story behind that is that this way Eve is actually more submissive because she's actually made of Adam. 93 people on the call. How amazing! So now Adam has this more submissive partner that will do what he wants and missionary all day long. This is what blew me away, and this is the reason I've gone live, though, because Ryan said to me, well, what about this, Indigo? Adam and Eve, yeah, they only had 2 children. And remember, we are apparently all from the offspring of Adam and Eve, yeah? The first 2 humans on the planet. But them 2 children were men, Cain and Abel. And Cain killed Abel. So this is what really this is when it gets a bit awkward and uncomfortable if we're going to have to look at the facts of the knowledge that the Christians are bringing us in their own Old Testament. That meant that Cain had to have had sex with his own mother in order for this to have continued. All right, 1 second. Why is this not charging anymore? How mad this is. I hope people are understanding how crazy this is. Okay, it's charging. So this is where we're at, okay? Adam and Eve. There was actually a woman before that called Lilith, but she got casted away because of she wasn't submissive enough and she actually had too much sexual liberation. Most people have created her in culture afterwards to be like the leader of vampires, like a really kind of bad bitch, kind of bad woman. Sleeping with demons and stuff. No one remembers Seth. I don't even know who Seth is. I'm sure you're going to know.
Yeah, let's come on to that.
We'll come on to Seth. Adam and Eve, they have a child. They have 2 children. They're only boys. And so that means that, you know, if we're going to look at the actual biblical stories from the Old Testament, that Eve would have had sex with her own son, Cain. But what Ryan has just proved as well is if you have to do the genetic thing for about 50 people. If you could explain that again.
So for a stable genetic database, and this is the minimum, and I don't recommend this if you're going to start a new civilization, 25 breeding couples. Okay, which requires more or less no monogamy, and each woman has to have roughly 3 male breeding partners for roughly 3 generations. Now, my maths might be a little bit off, but I know that the 25 breeding couples is basic maths, etc.
Is there anything that you found you want to share? If not, I've got a question for you.
I've got 2 things I want to share. So one, just a quick thing. You're right, everyone forgets about Seth. Seth is their 3rd child after Cain and Abel. Now, somehow...
So 3 boys.
3 boys, but Seth's a bit after. But here's the thing. Seth's descendants are counted up until Noah's time. Okay? And there's even belief that one of Noah's lot was. But that still doesn't explain how Seth managed to have any kids, except by sleeping with his mother. So you are right. Seth means appointed.
How do you answer this? Lilith isn't in the Old Testament.
Yes, because she's been exorcised and she's apocryphal now, just like Nephilim.
What's that word? An apocryphal.
Apocryphal. So basically, when they take, essentially in this instance, it means kind of Bible adjacent. When they take something out of the Bible, the story still exists, but it's no longer like 100% vegan kosher because they've taken it out. Because he's right. Lilith's not in the Old Testament, but neither are the Nephilim, the half angel, half human beings. Because you've also got the Grigori are taken out, who are like fallen angels, but that's another conversation we can come on to.
Louise, you need to follow me, man. She's in the Apocryphal texts. She knows what I go on. Okay.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, brilliant.
Louise. Okay, you had another point?
Right, just a really quick quote to underscore this.
Who's this guy? What's his at? What's your TikTok?
Oh, that's a good question. What is my TikTok?
He'll find it for you. Yeah, he's on TikTok. But by the way, you'll be able to find a lot of our videos on my YouTube video. We've done a video proving the power of Mary of Magdalene, how she was the #1 disciple of Jesus, the first one to see the resurrection, and how the patriarchy have just destroyed Mary of Magdalene. And that was a powerful conversation. We had a conversation. We're here to study tonight 1946, the translation that basically changed the world, where it basically made gay people feel like it was wrong to be gay, when it was never what was the intended story of Leviticus at all. And we did another one. What did we speak about?
We spoke about Mary Magdalene, and we
spoke about the myth of Jesus, and how Jesus is actually a recycled story from mythologies going all the way back to like Zoroastrianism. What's that?
Zoroastrianism.
There we go. So yeah, you can find it. But what's your TikTok?
The other one was Mary Magdalene. I'm new to TikTok, everyone. So at Ryan Blake 673.
At Ryan Blake 673. Taylor, do me a favor, sister. Write that in the comments for me in capital letters so people can just. At Ryan Blake, RyanBlake 673. Yeah. Why 673?
Because that's the only number I could get.
Okay. There's some massive biblical reasons.
I wanted a different number, which was going to have a reason, bizarrely enough, but someone had it.
Thank you, Taylor, big queen. She's done it.
I just want to read out this quote, which kind of underscores where the Bible stands on women a lot of the time. Ecclesiastes 7:26. I find more bitter than death the woman who is a snare, whose heart is a trap, and whose hands are chains. The man who pleases God will escape her, but the sinner she will ensnare. So there's that. Okay? We've got, from a woman, sin had its beginning, and because of her, we all die. Okay, that's Ecclesiastes 25:24. Now, that's Apocrypha now, but it was in the Bible before it was taken out. So listen again to that. From a woman, sin had its beginning. So all evil comes from women. That's where it starts, okay? And because of her, we all die. The phrasing of that is because Adam and Eve were immortal before they were thrown out of the Garden of Eden.
Wow.
Let me know if you want to come on to the whole thing we said about the entrapment that God played on them.
Yeah, definitely.
So
definitely.
But yes, Seth, like I said, Seth, his name means appointed or granted. And it's in Genesis. But basically, yeah, Adam had relations with his wife again, and they had that. But again, it doesn't really make any sense. But apparently his descendants go all the way to Noah. But how he had descendants, we don't know. So, yeah. But Seth also, in Egyptian mythology, is another word for Set, who is the god of evil and chaos. So, make of that what you will.
Letitia Joy said, can you give us some resources and books on this? I don't know if you have any quick answers. And if not, follow my YouTube channel where we're decoding this. We're going deeper and deeper and decoding this. I don't know if you have any quick references, maybe. And if not, the one we're doing right now, we're actually watching a documentary. What's the name of it? It says
1946, The Mistranslation That Shifted Culture.
1946, The Mistranslation That Shifted Culture. Try and find that documentary. If you have gay friends, they need to watch this if they're around Christian people, because it's laughable how it's been transformed. I'm not a gay person at all. I can't tell you how much I love gyal, but I'm still here to defend my people, especially when translations have been disrespectfully translated. I
promise I will post some sources. I can't find my list of sources right now because this is impromptu and I didn't realise we were.
I know, this is the best way. Yeah, could you explain the Jesus story, how it began, how it's... Do you know what? I actually have a question for you though.
Yeah. Go on.
A lot of people are waiting for Jesus.
Yes.
Yeah. What do you feel the return of the Messiah is? Is it a metaphorical, spiritual thing? Is it Christ consciousness? Is it an actual man that we're all going to be on Snapchat recording? Like, what do you think the story?
So in what form do you think Jesus? Do I think Jesus will return?
Yes. Do you think it's going to be an awakening that we're all going to have, and every person, as a Buddhist, we talk about human revolution, each individual remembering that they're the treasure tower, or do you think there's going to be an actual Messiah that like blows up on Instagram and like everyone's like, oh my God, he's returned?
Well, here's the thing, okay? You've got to take into account that modern human psychology is vastly different from the psychology of... In some ways, it's identical, but for the most part...
It is.
For the most part, think of it this way, okay? Let's say for a fact we knew Jesus was around now. He'd come back, okay?
Yeah.
Apart from the fact that his name wouldn't be Jesus, and his name wasn't Jesus, it was like Ishwar or something like that.
Yeah. Yoshua or yeah.
Right. Here's the thing to remember. Who would believe it? Because even if everything they were saying was gold and brilliant and wonderful,
Yeah.
no, you've got 1,000,001 people competing on TikTok.
Yeah.
In those days, I mean, look at how Jesus spread the word.
Yeah.
Okay? He had 13 people around with him, okay?
Yeah.
14 really, if you include Mary Magdalene, which you should. And he walked from town to town talking to people.
Yeah.
Nowadays, that ain't going to fly. Also, let's not let's not kid ourselves, and I say this with all the love in the world. When you've usually got one guy in charge of 13 other people walking from town to town, wanted by the authorities, they're probably drug dealers or gangland bosses. Mm-hmm. But, like I said, nowadays, you've got 1,000,001 competing channels, okay? The rate of novelty, which is how we measure kind of like, if you like, intellectual and technological progress, is measured in something called Jesus units, okay, or J units. Now, that in the time of Jesus, and we'll stick with that name for the sake of ease, the ratio of ideas was for every one new idea, one other new idea was created. Okay?
Yeah.
Roundabout, and this ties into the Mayan non-count calendar, not the end of the world stuff, but that rough time. Okay? The rate of novelty, which is measured in, like I said, the J units, became off the scale, more or less. Okay?
Someone just said this is what I call real church. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, carry on. Sorry, that was an amazing comment.
Thank you kindly. I very much appreciate that. So the rate of novelty, the rate of new ideas is progressing so quickly. And despite things like, okay, I don't like mentioning his name, but I have to. Despite things like Donald Trump and his core base, which, let's not forget, is shrinking.
Yeah.
Okay, despite the lunacy of that and religious fundamentalism and closed-mindedness, the average IQ of the human being is actually going up because we have access to more ability to train, learn, and share knowledge.
Yeah.
Okay? Remember, the internet has been around in its current form, in its accessible public form, since 1996. Okay? That means that we have had already an epochal change in accessing knowledge. Now, I know there's the signal to noise ratio. You've got all the crap that's on there apart from the good stuff, okay, the actual knowledge. But think about this. In the 20th century, in the space of roughly 47 years, in the space of 69 years, okay, we went from the horse and buggy to landing on the moon. A fundamental shift in human consciousness.
Yeah.
A lot of people can't keep up with that.
Yeah.
And so conservatives become more conservative because things change so quickly and so many new ideas are generated.
Look at AI just in the last 3 years.
Yeah.
It's like,
exactly.
Just insane how fast things are happening. And it's like, before like the 21st century, it's like massive gaps of nothing. And then suddenly, bang!
Yeah, exactly. You think about the rate of technology from, let's even say from Jesus' time, to, let's say, the Industrial Revolution. Okay? It was all various improvisations on a theme. So technology did progress, but it wasn't until like the mid-18th century, give or take, and I'm being a bit fast on this history there, but forgive me and go with it, where you get steam power and factories and rocket propulsion. A massive change. And then, again, stays fairly stable until you get to like the Second World War, when suddenly you get rocketry, nuclear power, or nuclear bombs at least. And shortly after that, jet fighters, which, let's not forget, the first jet fighters fought at the end of World War II. Okay?
I've never wanted to learn about religion until now. Yes!
So you have had, in the space of, let's say conservatively, 150, about 175 years, every element of human existence has fundamentally shifted. Okay?
Fast.
And you are getting people questioning things like religion and thinking, maybe this story about someone being born from someone's rib and a talking snake saying eat an apple and all that stuff is a bit sus.
A talking snake saying eat an apple.
That's what it comes down to, yeah?
Yeah.
And so of course, also for people scared about AI, massively recommend, it's a science fiction film, but Colossus the Forbin Project from 1956, amazing film about AI, genuinely worth watching as a sort of like...
You'll have to send that to me.
Yeah. We'll watch it after this.
Just to say, me and Ryan both, by the way, are both practicing Buddhists for over a decade, all of us. And in the Lotus Sutra, yes, there's a lot of metaphorical stories, but it's set up to let you know it's a metaphorical story.
Yeah. It's not a literal...
It's not a literal thing where, my whole life I actually believe a talking snake told me not to,
Yeah.
And okay, we're going to no doubt have a lot of... let me just do a little quick refresh again. A lot of new followers, no doubt, I can see in the last few minutes. So we've just been speaking about religion.
Hello.
Hey, yeah, this is Ryan. His Instagram is Ryan Blake
673.
yeah. And on my YouTube channel, we've been decoding the Bible, actually. But we were watching a documentary called 1946, the mistranslation that changed the world, basically. And it's... we love to dive deep into the Bible. And Ryan told me something very simple that just blew me away, which was, first of all, Adam and Eve isn't the first two humans on the planet. There was a woman before Eve called Lilith. Now, Lilith has been removed from the Bible, but this is a fact. And Lilith was an organic, independent energy apart from Adam, because remember, Eve was created from the rib of Adam. So Lilith, and this is what blew me away, had too much sexual power and no longer wanted to do the thing with Adam in Missionary. She wanted to get on top. And then Ryan educated me to know that the word missionary comes from India, where the missionaries, English missionaries, went to India and they were so mind blown by all the different moves that you can do in the Kama Sutra that the Indians actually labeled the English missionaries, and the missionary position came from the fact that that's all that the English could do. Mind blowing. So cool. Now Lilith gets cast out of the Garden of Eden by God and by Adam because she's way too powerful, not submissive enough, and wants to ride the ting like it's a donkey. But Adam's like, no, I only want to do missionary. So she gets casted away, and this is where real feminists should really be focusing their energy on her. It sounds like she was a real bad woman. And then God makes a submissive feminine deity from the rib of Adam. Yeah, 80 people. Let's get this to 15,000 likes. Yeah, she takes please tap this screen for me, people. She takes out the rib of Adam, makes a woman called Eve, and then Adam and Eve, they have children. Yeah, they actually have 3 children, Cain, Abel, and Seth. So this is why we're just having a conversation where, like, please make it make sense to me. Where do all humans come from if the first 3 humans on the planet, 2 of them have children, but they're all boys. There's no female children. So as we've discussed, from the logic of the Old Testament, that meant Cain or Seth would have had to have had sex with their own mother. And that's where we basically started the conversation. So
because Seth mysteriously has descendants that go all the way to Noah. So.
Yeah.
And let's not forget Noah, the Great Flood, wipes out...
Thank you, Eve. I can see you're tapping that screen. Yes.
The Great Flood, which wipes out all of humanity bar Noah, Ham, Shem, Japheth, and Ham's wife. So you're left with 4 or 5 people on Noah's Ark and all the animals.
Someone just said, why have I never thought of that? Exactly, Shannon. This is revelation times, isn't it? We're awakening to there's been a bit of an illusion and a spell going on for thousands of years. And sorry to cut you, it's just the comments are... No, absolutely. Yeah. Why did I never think of this? How did Adam and Eve just have 2 male sons and suddenly... Crazy.
Right, so there's someone on there said, where does God come from? Good question. Now, here's the thing. So Yahweh, the Christian God... okay, as he's recognised now, was originally, what we now call Israel, an Israeli storm god. And he was part of, you had El, Ma'el, and Ba'el. Ba'el was a sort of sun god, and basically El, who's now Yahweh, he was basically a storm god who got a big promotion because he suited the climate and temperament of the time.
Yeah.
So in that sense, we can answer that question. But yes, originally Yahweh was well, you've seen the Marvel superhero films. You know, Thor, the Thunder God. It was kind of a bit like that in many ways, which explains why he's so wrathful, I suppose, in the Old Testament. So yeah. So what were we? Oh, and let's recap the entrapment of Garden of Eden, if you're all right.
Please, yeah, please do.
So here's
92 people.
Oh, excellent.
15,000. Come on, guys, 2,000 more.
So here's the thing. Now, if someone can explain this to me. So Adam and Eve, they're in paradise, okay, doing their very boring missionary position. Remember, missionary position was not meant as a compliment. The Indians, when they named it that, it was because it was considered boring, and someone very astutely said vanilla. I mean, it's all right now and again. I'm not knocking it, but anyway, that's not the point. Point is this: Satan appears as the form of a snake in the garden, okay, and says to Eve, "Well, why don't you eat the apple?" Here's the thing, okay. God says, "My one commandment is don't eat the apple," okay. Adam and Eve, when they eat the apple, gain the knowledge of good and evil and right and wrong. That's step one. Now, if they don't have the knowledge of right and wrong and good and evil, how can they know it's wrong to eat the apple, even if God commanded them?
Yeah.
It's entrapment.
Yeah.
If you don't know what wrong is, you can't do wrong consciously. Yeah. So booting them out of the garden for that, like I said, it's entrapment and it's wrong. Yeah. Here's the other thing, and we talked about this. They were suddenly filled with the knowledge that they were naked and they were ashamed of this. They felt shame. And God says, "Who told you were naked?" Because they suddenly realise it. Now, here's the thing. That means that they always should have been ashamed they were naked. They just didn't know to be ashamed. Okay?
You're getting this.
Because God created that situation. Now, the other alternative we talked about was it wasn't shameful until they ate the apple, and then God said, "Right, well, I'm going to make you ashamed now because you broke my rules." There, shame. Which means God decided, as a punishment, on a whim, to say it's wrong to be naked. So either way, God does not come out of this looking very good.
Wow.
If in my estimation.
There's someone asking the question many times, and I want to answer it because it's a beautiful question, Liz. And we have actually spoke about this, the story of Jesus, and how it's repeated in so many mythologies going back thousands of years. But I'm going to get another drink and I'll let you answer this. How did Mary conceive a baby if she was a virgin? I'll be back.
Okay, right. So, have we got enough juice in this phone? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, for now. Yeah.
Okay, right. So, how did Mary conceive a baby if she was a virgin? Very good question. So, the sort of the current way it's phrased is quite simple, if not vague. That, remember, you've got God, you've got the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. So God, Jesus, and the Holy Ghost. The Holy Ghost was said to be the sort of part, if you like, of God who kind of flew into Mary and impregnated her. Thus, remember, in those days, the hymen was the big deal. So the Holy Ghost was able to fly into Mary and impregnate her with God's seed without breaking the hymen. So she was still a virgin. Now, here's the thing. Depending on which source you go to, Mary was like 13 at most and married to Joseph. Now, they'd been married a little bit before they were told to go to Bethlehem to pay their taxes. Very important to remember this. The Romans did not require people to go to their hometown to pay their taxes. It's complete bibbledee nonsense. So that means that Joseph, who was a fair bit older than Mary, I don't know his exact age. I haven't got his birth certificate, but I know he was significantly older. That means that they got married and did not have sex for however long it was, quite a while. Remember, women were meant to be submissive to men, and marriages like that were perfectly normal in those days.
Let me plug it in.
Go on.
Yeah.
So that's how, basically. So the idea is it was the Holy Ghost component, and so Mary's hymen was not broken. There are lots of other apocryphal stories that actually she was knocked up by, like the Archangel Gabriel was one of them.
Can you explain where the word hymen comes from?
Oh, yeah, hang on. Let me get the...
This guy's like the Akashic Records for me, by the way. Yeah, any information I need, it's incredible.
Just hang on a second, because I just need to get the...
How do you know any of this, what we are told is true? I'll tell you, the story, that the narrative that the system give us definitely isn't. They give us the coded joke. It's a fairy tale, which they give us, and we're left to decode the crumbs. But there is a lot of power in the crumbs.
Okay, so there are two sources. Hymen comes from the Greek. It literally translates as, and this was the bit I had to look up because I wasn't sure of the spelling. but it literally translates as like membrane or thin skin, because it's literally well, you know what hymen is, biologically, I assume.
Yeah.
So now here's the thing: the mythologically speaking, in Greek myth, hymen or hymenaeus basically is the sort of the mystical part of the joining of marriage ceremonies. So it's like, you know how, okay, right, this is a crude analogy, but it works. You know how in Greek, not just Greek, but let's start with Greek weddings, where they would wrap a glass that was drunk from in a cloth and stamp it and smash it.
Yeah.
Same thing with the hymen, except it's the sexual part.
Okay.
That's basically what it means. So basically, the hymen's magical power is you are pure and untouched until it's broken. Now, biologically, that's nonsense, because you can break your hymen riding a horse or falling over funny.
Yeah.
But in those days, well, here's the thing. You've got to remember, in those days, if you cut your hand, there's a good chance you're dead because of infections.
Yes.
Okay? So the hymen being broken, the idea was everyone was more careful, I suppose, about that kind of thing. Because remember, on the wedding night, there was literally supposed to be blood. It's also why in some religions and cultures, you have a blood sacrifice at a wedding. Okay? The same thing. So that flow of blood is the sort of like the flow of life. And so when that is broken, it means that bond is cemented between husband and wife, if that makes sense.
And so a husband, in the old days, a husband's trying to see that blood on that wedding night. Otherwise, it's like, you liar.
Basically, if you did right now, and this is a trick that a lot of ladies used to do, they would either find or kill an animal. They would have like a little sort of like, I suppose we call it a purse now, pour some blood into it. If they had actually either broken their hymen, because remember, you could still break your hymen through other means in those days.
He's riding a horse.
Riding a horse, for example, or a donkey if we bring it back to
gymnastics, anything.
Yeah. So here's the thing. So if a lady had broken her hymen, either because she had carnal knowledge pre-marriage, or that there'd been an accident, okay, that would be hidden, obviously, and they would have the sex. I don't know why I'm saying it like that. We're talking pretty openly about sex. I'm being coy now.
It's TikTok. It makes you go, ooh.
Yeah. So they would have had the sex. What would have happened is they would have hidden their little purse under the bed or wherever, and they would have poured some of the animal blood out.
Yeah.
So that the husband would look at it and go, okay, right, fair enough. You were pure, and I don't have to cast you out, because you could have a marriage. We would call it annulled today. Annulled if you slept with the woman and there was no blood, and you would say, she's not pure, you've lied to me in this marriage contract, your parents have lied to me, blah, 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 we're not married anymore, get out, you're a whore. And so they would pull a little bit of blood out and blah, blah, blah.
So we have an Imran.
Live restricted? What's that?
Oh, man. Babylon always trying to stop me. Why are they restricting me for, man? The live contains themes that may find uncomfortable. Alcohol, tobacco, and drugs. Oh, and it's not that because I put my bottle on. Okay, cool. Idiot. Anyway, so we have an Imran, who said Adam and Eve had many children, and then he said here, and I respect him, but listen, Adam and Eve had many children. Look at see the Islamic interpretation. So just to let you know, Imran Wahid, we're not looking at the Islamic interpretations, we're looking at the Christian Old Testament. So, I mean, if you'd like to share a quote from the Islamic interpretations which say Adam and Eve had daughters, that's incredible. But we're more life to you, brother. But we're focusing on the Christians that believe in the Old Testament, which say that
in Genesis 5:4 it says, for 800 years there are children from Adam and Eve. Here's the thing, with whom? Okay?
Yeah.
The human race is massively inbred, no matter where you take it from. Okay? 800 years of inbreeding does not a stable genetic database make. Okay? Like I said, it's Genesis 5:4, you're absolutely right. They did have many children. But who are they breeding with?
Wow. Each other.
Well, if it is each other, then that explains a lot of things, doesn't it, really?
Yeah.
So.
Wow. Any questions for Ryan while we're here, guys? Anything specific?
Because Adam lived for 930 years, according to the Bible.
We're nearly on 20,000 likes. 20,000 times someone's pressed his screen on a Sunday talking about Jesus, man. Yeah, not many people can hold this energy. Yes, Eve, I know most of that is your energy. What does he have to say about the parts that have been taken out of the Bible? That's from Shannon.
Honestly, here's the thing, right? The Bible was put together. The Bible is, and I don't mean this in an insulting way, the Bible is a scrapbook of theological beliefs, but it's also critically a scrapbook of political beliefs. And we were talking about earlier about suddenly Jesus is saying you've all got to pay your taxes and render unto Caesar. The Bible did not come out on year 34 after the year after Jesus passed on. Okay, it came out hundreds of years later. It was collated by political forces. Okay,
Boom.
and so
Babylon.
And so the key, yeah, very much so. And so the key thing is here to remember: the parts that are taken out for very specific reasons. The Third Nicene Council in 303 AD, roughly, okay, very deliberately excised reincarnation from the Bible.
This is important. Listen to this. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we're going to talk about where reincarnation got taken out.
The reason it was taken out is, based on what information we do have, because Christians were not scared enough of going to hell because they figured, if I do sin or I do rebel against the state or whatever, I will reincarnate and get another chance. And so Constantine very deliberately took it out rather. Okay? Very deliberately was crafted to be taken out to increase your fear of going to hell.
Simple.
And so people could be controlled directly.
Yeah.
Because you think about it this way, if you're in charge, you're the religious leader, and people think, well, okay, if I get it wrong, I'm only a human being, I make mistakes. To err is human, as they say. Then people are going to also think, well, okay, I've made a mistake there, but if I'm honest and genuine and I get another chance at this, you're less scared of going to hell, which means you're less scared of the proclamations to the people in charge. It's important to remember at this point, just as a thing to drop this in. One, we're going back to Jesus now. Crucifixion was incredibly expensive. Okay?
Yeah, it must have been.
Crucifixes, people who died on the cross didn't die through blood loss or infection most of the time. They died of asphyxiation because they kept being put on crucifixes that were designed for like lots of people. So you couldn't breathe properly. You were hung. You couldn't breathe. You would asphyxiate because your body was in the wrong position.
Wow.
But crucifixion, 99.9% of the time, was only used by the Romans for executing enemies of the state. Okay? And what we would call that these days are terrorists.
Yeah.
So if Jesus was going around preaching peace and love, and I'm not saying he wasn't or anything like that, but Jesus was made an example of because he was an enemy of the state. Everything that the Bible suggests, all he did was go around on a donkey with his 13 men and Mary Magdalene saying, hey, let's be nice to each other. Take up your bed and walk and all that stuff.
Yeah.
That's not something that the Romans would execute someone for. Remember, a huge part of what the prevailing socio-economic and political force of the Roman Empire was something called the Pax Romana, which means the peace of the Roman Empire, essentially. They would go around to each culture and they would look at their religious beliefs and how their culture would go, and they'd absorb it. And they'd say, right, look at the Roman and Greek gods, for example, who are almost one-to-one.
Yeah.
You know, Zeus and Jupiter, all that jazz, Mars and Ares. They would go to these cultures and say, right, listen, we're going to sort of take over. We're going to give you central heating and nice roads and all that. and your God is quite similar to our gods. So why don't we'll make it part of the same pantheon. So you can still have your religious leaders and all that stuff. We will tax you. We will run the place. We'll take some of your people for the army and the reserves. And so the idea of what Jesus was preaching does not cause any trouble for the Roman Empire. Remember, Jesus also apparently said, render unto Caesar that which is Caesar's. Caesar or Kaiser, we're not going to get into that again. Pay your taxes. Be a good citizen. Now that was put in by Constantine and the Holy Roman Empire, because there's no way they would crucify someone like that who, as a terrorist. It's really important to remember that. It's a massive contradiction there. Okay? So when we see that, okay, we are looking at someone who's executed for rebelling against the state, which Jesus is never shown to do in the Bible. Okay? So there's a big contradiction there. I'm not saying that to upset anyone, but it's true. Okay? Also, think of it this way, right? Let's say Jesus came back today and the same basic thing happened to him and he was sentenced to, like, let's say the electric chair, for example. Yeah? Let's say that. Let's say he's reincarnated in America and says what the current government is doing is wrong. Okay? He gets the electric chair, okay? Probably unjustly. Are Christians suddenly going to start wearing the electric chair around their necks as a necklace?
Imagine that, yeah.
Yeah. It's a form of corporal punishment. And remember this as well. When you see the crucifix with a bit on top that comes out the top, you can't really see it. You know, it's like that.
Yeah. The cross, yeah.
Okay? This bit here wasn't there. The cruciform, that's what people were executed on. So this bit, it would be like that, it'd be a T.
So there was just a T. So what was the top part?
That was sort of added in. Now.
And then what about the Yank, the Rastafarian and the Egyptian
Well,
Yank?
the Yank is a symbol of soul and life.
Yeah.
That's almost the opposite of the
It's the absolute. It's totally opposite. Yeah. And the divine feminine, the masculine energy, and all of these things.
Exactly. Now, and a lot of people, they talk about like the inverted cross, and they say it's a satanic symbol.
Yeah.
Now, the Satanic Church may have appropriated it, but its origin is actually from one of the disciples, Saint Peter. Okay.
But Saint Peter designed the satanic cross.
No. So here's the thing. It's interesting you say that, because what happened was Saint Peter, he wasn't a saint then because he was alive.
Rastafari. Yes.
So Saint Peter was sentenced to crucifixion.
Yeah.
Like Jesus. Now Saint Peter said, he was just Peter then, I am not worthy of this. I should not be dying the same way Jesus did, because he's much better than me. He's the Son of God. Blah blah blah.
It says that. Did he get buried upside down?
He got crucified upside down. And
Blood clot, you know what I'm going, yeah? You know what you're talking about.
So he said, crucify me, fine, but I want to be crucified upside down. The Romans did it.
Jesus.
So
literally, Jesus.
And later on, the Satanic Church will take, because it's the inverted.
Yeah.
It's the inverted cross. It's literally Jesus' cross upside down, if you like.
Yeah.
But the cruciform,
HJ, we're both Buddhists, my brother. You keep asking what faith we are. We're Buddhists. Carry on.
So think of it this way, right? The crucifix, which is a Christian symbol, okay, it's been taken by Christianity as a symbol, but it's actually a form of Roman, not just Roman, but a corporal punishment. It's been appropriated by Christianity as a symbol of their faith. But when you actually think about it, it's not. It's a symbol. It's not even a symbol. It is Roman punishment, the most brutal way. Now, like later on, you would get people being beheaded, and their heads would be covered in pitch, which is what we sort of call tar now, and they'd be mounted. The British Empire was doing that. Lots of people were doing that. The reason for that is because, just like when you can see everyone on a cross being displayed, when someone's head is submerged in pitch, it would be put on a battlement, and it would last for like decades, more or less, and you would see their faces and know what this is the fate of people who rebel against the state. So that sort of thing's been going on for ages, but the crucifix itself is not Christian. It's been appropriated by Christians, and it's the cruciform, more appropriately, which is a T, okay, which is in lots and lots of religions. Some people say there's conspiracy theories that's why the Model T Ford was brought out as a sort of biblical allusion to give it some mystical zhuzh. So like I said, that's why, taking a little bit of a tangent, but not much, the Shakespearean play Othello, okay? Part of the reason why Shakespeare chose to make it about a black man was because the audience was already going to be a bit racist anyway, but he was showing the nobility and humanity of this black African prince who was a slave and is now a warrior. And so people would see a black face and they would automatically associate it with what? A traitor who had his head cut off and covered in pitch to preserve, to warn people. So they would be conditioned to see a black face equals the face of a traitor.
Wow.
And Shakespeare was trying to sort of redress that balance. We're on a little bit of a tangent there, but it comes back to the cruciform and corporal punishment. Really, if you are actually going to follow... I don't want to tell anyone what to do here, so please don't misunderstand what I'm saying. But the real symbol of Christianity is the Piscean fish.
Yeah.
Okay? Because Jesus was a fisherman. Okay? So that's the symbol I can't speak for him, I didn't know him personally, but that's the symbol that should be most readily associated with him.
Someone said here, if God is a person, it would be a black woman. And I agree, personally, to say that.
In a lot of cultures it is.
Yeah, just to say, I'm with you there, sister. Trust me. Like, definitely, when people talk about God and stuff and Jesus, this is always in a masculine presence. First of all, for me, if there wasn't omnipresent deity, it wouldn't have a gender. It wouldn't be male or female. It would be the middle path. It would have both. What's the word for that? Androgynous?
Androgynous.
Yeah.
Well, no, wait. If it's both, hermaphrodite.
Okay, well, maybe that's a bit of a political term I don't want to start saying. But like for us as Buddhists, by the way, so we follow Buddhism, yeah. We practice Nichiren Daishonin Buddhism, which is based on Shakyamuni's last 8 years of his teachings. And by the way, on the 25th of October, send me a DM and I will send you the link. We are going to be studying a book called The Buddha in Your Mirror, which has a foreword by Herbie Hancock, one of the best jazz musicians on the planet and one of the best black Buddhists on the planet. And we'll be diving into Buddhism. There's a spider on your floor there.
Yes, okay, there you go. It's fine.
Whoa, okay.
It's not hurting anyone, is it?
No, it's not hurting no one. If that was me and my mum, it would be like, okay. So anyway, there's another, again, just a little recap, yeah? We're just speaking about the origins of the story of Adam and Eve, the idea that Adam and Eve wasn't the original. There was actually a woman called Lilith before, but she actually wanted to be sexually liberated and not have sex in the missionary position. And that was also a metaphor for being not submissive to Adam. So she was casted out of Eden. And then God made a submissive woman out of the rib of Adam called Eve. And they had three sons called Cain and Abel. And this is in the Christian...
Later on, Seth.
And later on, Steph. And this is only in the Christian interpretations, Big Ibran. So we were saying, basically, from the story and from the facts that we are given from the Bible, from Christianity, that meant that either Cain or Seth had sex with their own mother in order to populate the entire earth. And this is coming from the Christian teachings. And we're not here slandering. We're not here picking on Jesus or the Bible. We're here speaking about what they are presenting to us and how it makes sense. And it doesn't make sense. And so, Eve, I absolutely love you, Eve Louise, man. Jesus, we're on 33.3 thousand likes.
Wow, great name as well.
Eve Louise, yeah, that's my sister, man. Yeah.
But going back to that point about God being a black woman, I mean, if you go into like the Yoruba religion, Oshun is a goddess of love and rivers and fertility.
Okay.
And is seen as the source of life. You've also got Yemaya, who is the mother of the seas. Notice we've got a lot of flowing liquid here, all coming back to basically menstruation and blood being the source of life. And in the Voodoo or religion, we've got hang on, I've got to remember to pronounce this, Ezrul Dantor. Now, I may have butchered pronunciation, apologies if anyone's there who's more clued in on me, but she was like the Black Madonna. She was a life-giving spirit, and she looked after women and children. So notice how none of these women are destructive forces. They're all protective. They're all sources of life. The only time any of these theistic models, if you like, these theistic ideas are ever remotely vengeful is when the people they're looking after are wronged.
Yes.
So whereas, for example, let's go back to the old standby. Okay, the firstborn of Egypt, okay, slaughtered by God, God's angel of wrath, depending on which version you want to believe the story.
Did you say Osun?
Oshun.
Someone just said that's why I choose my TikTok name, and it's Japanese titles and Oshun, Osun.
Oh well, that's a different thing, but yes, yeah.
Wow, incredible.
Yeah. So let's look at that. You've got the 10.
He talks so much sense. Church tonight. What a day.
So you talk.
Spiders symbolize feminine energy and protection.
Yes, because you've got Anansi, the spider god, who weirdly enough is often portrayed as male. But yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Jessica, Indigo, you look like Jesus, or what I perceive in my mind. Jessica, say no more, baby gal, holler me. I'm joking.
Well, let's. So in the Bible, the one time we get Jesus described properly physically, he had skin of bronze and hair of wool. So he is not a white guy.
He was looking a bit rustery, wasn't he?
Yeah. So and there's lots of.
And that's why I would say His Imperial Majesty Haile Emperor Selassie, if there was going to be someone that physically incarnated in the 21st century, it would have been, 20th century, it would have been him. I don't know what you think of that, or the king of Ethiopia.
Yeah,
and that they say he is the reincarnated Jesus, and he sat on the throne of King Solomon and Queen Sheba. He was the last Solomonic king.
Remember, the only reason why anyone thinks Jesus is white is because of...
Listen to this one.
So in Italy and the Vatican and everything, you had the Borgias who took over, who were like liquid evil, this family.
Yeah.
And the eldest son, and sort of like the heir to the... not heir to the Pope, but the heir apparent to the Borgia family... He told every single artist in the Vatican, he said, you're going to paint Jesus looking like me from now on.
Wow.
Or you're dead.
Wow.
And so every painting you see of Jesus who was like that, from that period and onwards, because remember, there weren't so many of them before then, because it was a no-no to paint. Remember, you're not supposed to worship any graven image, which technically includes Jesus. So every time you bow to a crucifix or anything, you're technically bound to a graven image. That's more aimed at Catholics, because they have Jesus on the cross, but that's a graven image. Anyway... By the by, that's why we think Jesus is a white guy. with a very neat and unnaturally neat beard, because the Borgias forced people, and that has penetrated all society. Because remember, the Daddy Borgia was the Pope. He was the most corrupt Pope. A lot of biblical scholars who are very literal think he was an incarnation of the beast, which most people mistakenly think is the Antichrist, but that is not the right title. The title of it is the beast. Anyone who's seen The Omen, that's kind of popularised it.
He's so intellectual. Sorry, I was bigging you up while you're talking.
But for anyone who's seen The Omen, they refer to Damien Thorne as the guy in it as the Antichrist. Should be referred to as the beast, because technically anyone who is anti-God, or however you want to phrase that, is an antichrist, or is antichrist.
Yeah.
So the thing with the tattoo of 666 on its head, should be referred to as the beast. Okay, it's easier shorthand to say the Antichrist, because he's the devil's, Satan's whatever version of his son and what have you. So technically it should be. Also, one other thing, the 666 thing, just want to address this. It is a mistranslation of gematria, which is the Judaism's
Taylor
language of numbers into words. It's a brilliant, intricate language, but here's the thing: it was a mistranslation. It should not be 666. It should be 616.
Wow.
Yeah. Okay. Because they uncovered some more stuff and they realised the translation was off. Interestingly enough, and I love superhero comics, so this is not a criticism, but the universe that Marvel Comics is set in is Earth 616, which I find hilarious.
Wow.
But so the number of the beast is not actually 666; it's 616. I know that's a tangent from what we're talking about, but I find that interesting. So there you go.
Guys, I'm going to run this for 10 more minutes here. If anyone has a serious question about the Bible or Jesus to put to Ryan, ask it now, and I will pick one or two. And we'll see Wagwan. What a joy. Who would have thought? We haven't dropped past like 80 people live for like an hour.
I cannot believe anyone's this interested in anything I'm saying.
But the world's changing though, that's why. And many... I have a friend of mine, who's just got baptised, And then she's gone and watched one of my videos and gone, oh my God, what have I done? And it's like, people are so searching for a philosophy that is grounded. And of course, as Buddhists, we're going to suggest the Lotus Sutra, but we're not doing this to try and promote Buddhism. We're just talking about different faiths. But there are so many philosophies out there, and some of the great ones, even like the Bible, I'm sure there's such greatness to it, but it's been so manipulated, so, used for political reasons, for power reasons. And, and there's so much patriarchy in all these religions. Jesus, God, he, them, the Father. And like someone said here, if I'm ever going to identify with an actual being, it would have been a woman, and a black woman, if anything. Not to say that black women are more powerful than white women. I'm just saying, if there was going to be one, and the Bible comes from Ethiopia, all of these things, it's,
Also, the human race.
Even the symbolism of 108. And the sun and the moon and the earth. 108 is 108 earthly desires. That's why there's 108 beads in the beads that we hold as Buddhists. Where are my beads? Are they somewhere?
Why not? I can get mine if that's handy.
No, I think we've got... Anyway, it doesn't even matter.
One of the key
got them in my pocket, I think. Yeah, so as beads, we always have our beads. So as Buddhists, we chant our beads, 108 Taylor. Thank you for reminding me. Our beads represent our life. And we hold our own life in our hands. We don't wait on no passive Jesus to save us. You can see here where it's a bit 3 at the end. So this represents my head and my 2 arms. 108 beads. We twist it in the middle, which represents the waist. And then on the other end, we've got 2 here, which represent the legs. So when we're chanting together, and we chanted half an hour before this call, hence why it's such a beautiful call. Nam Myoho Renge Kyo. We're holding our own... life in our hands. There's nothing mystical about them. It's just a piece of beads, nothing at all. It's a symbolic that no one's here to save us. We're here to create the action ourselves. We're not here to pray to Shakyamuni. We're not here to pray to Jesus or Joshua saying, save us, save us. We're here to align to the same life state that these powerful people have had, and to create our own Buddhahood, to create the causes within our own life, to change our karma, to cut our generational curses, to be the black sheep and to transform everything. That's what Shakyamuni wanted.
One of the key things that Siddhartha Gautama, who's the historical, Nepalese prince who, became enlightened, one of the key things that I always cling to is he said, create your own religion. As
he did.
A slightly loose translation, because his idea of religion is not the same. But he said, all my teachings, If there's something that doesn't work for you, change it. Make it work for you. Think about it this way. All religious power comes from the ephemeral grip of, if you don't do what I say, you're going to be punished forever. Okay? If someone punches you in the face, okay, you can learn to block a punch and punch back. If someone says, oh, I have this power that you can't see or define, but trust me, it's there, I can send your soul, your hell for punishment forever and ever, and you can't do anything about it. What do you do about that? You know?
Yeah.
Now, obviously, intellectually and spiritually, you can see through it, which is what we're trying to do. But the fact is, that's where it comes from, which is why, you know, Christianity was a slave religion. Let's not forget that after Moses led the slaves out of Egypt and into Israel, okay, God commanded him to slay 11,000 Mennonites, men, women, and children, and donkeys and camels. Don't know why, but okay. So the worm turns. Okay, what we're going through here, hopefully, is this big spiritual awakening where, you know, the spiritual worm turns. Think of it like this. Okay, when a caterpillar evolves into becoming a butterfly, okay, what's the first thing it does before it spins the cocoon around itself? It eats the same leaf that it's going to perch on. It risks its own existence to evolve, which is kind of what society's going through now. We are genuinely, whether you believe in climate change and all that stuff, that's up to you. But the fact is, we are genuinely, it doesn't seem like it, especially in the West, but we're on the brink of extinction.
Yeah.
Okay? We are eating the leaf that we are going to be forced to evolve on. If we don't get busy and start becoming butterflies, then we are all done.
Yeah.
Okay? And all that we left is another Adam, Eve, and Seth, and we're going to be inbreeding for 850 years, apparently. So engaging with this and questioning and not judging each other is critical at this time. Okay? Because the thing that holds us together is it's not going to be money.
No.
It's not going to be, the only wealth that's going to count is spiritual wealth, is compassion.
The treasures of the heart.
The treasures of the heart, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay? Now, whatever you choose to believe in, whatever label you want to slap on it,
Yeah.
taking care of each other and caring about each other and putting the other first, that's a good message. You can't go wrong. If everybody actually cared about each other, there would be no war.
Yeah.
There would be no poverty. Okay? Everything is everything that pushes us forward as a species is predicated on working together. And I'm not talking about technology here, I'm talking about something more fundamental. Because someone could turn around and say, well, war is the catalyst for technology. We have been sold this paradigm of, look, all new technology start in the hands of the military. Because we've been sold that paradigm, but it doesn't have to be that way at all.
Yeah.
It really, really doesn't, okay? So by dissecting the past to take the bits we need from it to propel us into the future is crucial. But every time you are stuck in a belief, let's put it this way, okay? Is there anyone out there who genuinely doesn't believe that society has not changed in the last 2,000 years? Because I would say probably no one. And the fact is, if you're hanging on to a morality that came about 2,000 years ago on a 1-to-1 ratio, rather than extracting the bits that work and seeing what's next and evolving, then you're not going to get anywhere as a species. Remember, we were talking about this before, the huge epochal changes we've had, okay? The mid-18th century Industrial Revolution. Post that, you know, World War II, rocketry, nuclear weapons, and 1996. Now, it was around in the military a little bit before then, but 1996, the internet for public consumption. Okay? Suddenly, everyone has got access to all this knowledge, and I mean this in the most loving way I can, every idiot's opinion can be heard by every other idiot. Okay? Which is why we have some of the troubles we have today. Because people have not been able to adjust.
Wow.
The people who can't move forwards, or the people who are trapped in let's say an ancient paradigm, cannot adapt. And they're in a weird way, their fight for survival. The reason why we've got things like Nigel Farage and Trump and things like that, okay, to say nothing of Putin and China and everything else, these are people who can't move forwards, who only see power one way. And so all they have is no true spirituality of it, because they think, right, well, I don't care what happens after me. My job is to crush people and secure my power base. That's it. Because think about it, you don't harm people if you think there's nothing else, because that stays with you. Okay, people without and I'm not talking about people who are biologically incapable, but people without a conscience, okay, who act in this way, they don't believe there's anything else. And so they think, right, well, I've got my 10. I will try and stay alive as long as possible, and I'll try to have the most comfortable life I can and get my thrills through crushing other people.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that. You don't act that way if you think there are no consequences to your actions. You don't, because no one gets away with anything. Not really. So anyway, I've made
there you go, guys. Listen, you can find us on my YouTube channel. We've done a few videos. We've decoded the Jesus myth and how the idea of the immaculate birth, being born to a virgin mother, having like a really dramatic death, resurrecting, is actually a story which has been repeated time and time again, going back thousands of years before Jesus. And so that's a really eye-opening video we've done on my YouTube channel. You can find my YouTube channel in my TikTok, in my link tree. We did a video where we talk about the truth of Mary of Magdalene, how she was a bad bitch. She was the #1 disciple. She was the first one to see Jesus resurrect, and how the patriarchy took that story away to disable women from their true power and to stop women feeling like they could actually be powerful. Because if anything, it was Mary of Magdalene that actually really was the main one who actually understood Jesus. And so we've done that, and we also did a video on
the repetition of the Jesus myth.
Jesus myth. No, on the homophobic energy of the Bible. This is why I'm with Ryan this evening. We're watching a documentary called 1946, The Mistranslation That Changed the World. And it's about, everyone says, you can't lie with another man because of Leviticus 18:22 and all of these quotes in the Bible. And we're here to say, as heterosexual men backing gay men, you got to stop that, because the mistranslation is completely incorrect. And it was the 1946 translation of the Bible which first introduced these ideas of homophobia and stuff, homophobic energy and stuff. So if you liked what we're doing, please follow Ryan. Where can you find you again? Ryan Blake
673
at Ryan Blake 673. Do me a favor, Taylor, write that one more time for me, sister, in the chat so people can find them. 72 people, 60,000 times this screen has been liked in the last hour, which is impressive. And to be honest, it's just making me realize that I should be doing this every week, man. I want to go on, do you know Twitch and all these apps?
Yeah.
And people are streaming, and imagine me and you doing this, bro, and fucking pulling in documents and shit. I would have 100 people every night.
I feel like I should add at this point.
Thank you, Taylor.
I should add at this point that I am also a therapist. So if I've broken anyone's brain tonight and they need therapy to get over it, genuinely contact me. I really am a therapist. That's not.
He's actually that is his job. He's a therapist. We're both Buddhists. We are both leaders in the Soka Gakkai International. But when we're speaking on this is just two men. This isn't nothing official. This is just two men speaking about different religions. Taylor, specifically, Eve, specifically, I love you. Thank you for the support on this chat. You've managed to repost this so many different times and support me. There's a lot of people asking a lot of questions, but to be honest,
do you want to take one more?
Yeah, I didn't really need a wee. Go on, take one more. If anyone has a question, and you'll see it, put there.
Okay, right. Holy smokes, I haven't got my glasses on.
And if not, I'll come back in a second and read it out.
Okay, fair enough. Right. I may just end up having to ramble. Is the moon a mirror? Well, I mean, poets do say that the moon is a window to heaven. So I don't know if that answers your question. Thank you very much, Taylor, for that. Someone said we're doing the devil's work. Well, so here's the thing. Let's talk about the devil quickly. So it's not really a question, but let's talk about it. So in the Old Testament, what we have is Satan, not Lucifer or anything like that. Satan, which literally translates into like enemy or opposition, but more opposition than enemy, really. And if you look at his appearance in the Old Testament, and there is only really the one, it's the book of Job, where God who is now mistranslated into the devil, because remember, Satan's not actually referred to as being evil at all in the Old Testament. It's important to remember that. Very important moral distinction. So they have a bet. I heard Satan is Saturn. No, Saturn is the king. He's one of the very important gods in the Roman mythology. So not I think that might be just a mishearing.
I think what that person might be referring to is a lot of people say that Saturn is where the occultists, these Satanists, they praise the sixth planet and they draw all the satanic energy from the rings of Saturn.
Right.
So there is occult knowledge on that.
But again, that's an association with gematria, and 6 being the number of the devil in the Judeo language.
Okay.
So really, I mean, you're sort of gambling on mathematics there. But anyway, so in the Old Testament, sorry, 'cause I feel weird looking just my chin. Right. So in the Old Testament, God and Satan.
Yes, Taylor.
God and Satan, okay, not the devil, Satan, have a bet because Job is God's favourite, and Satan says, I bet if I take everything away from Job and give him a bad time, he will turn from you. And God says, no, he won't. He's my favourite. He's the most faithful. Okay, so he loses crops, blah, 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 he gets punished, all that jazz. Okay, Job has a terrible time and he doesn't turn. It's an arrangement. Satan is God's tool for testing the faithful. Mm-hmm. Okay, it's only in the New Testament where there is a mistranslation when they're talking about the King Nebuchadnezzar and all that jazz, that what we now consider the devil, the bad guy, is called Lucifer. Okay, which is not accurate. Lucifer, morning star. Lucifer means light bringer. Okay, it doesn't really make sense for your evil thing to be called a light bringer. Yeah. It's actually meant to be Samael, who is meant to be the fallen angel. Notice Samael, L at the end, meaning it's an archangel. Okay, Gabriel, Michael, all that. Okay,
Raphael.
Raguel. There's loads. Anyway, so the key thing to remember there is that Satan is this misappropriated title. It just means opposed, and the idea is God creates this opposition, if you like, so that he can test the faithful, because God, in a way, isn't going to do his own dirty work. He's not going to be the one who... Think of it this way. If God had been the one to directly punish Job, Job would go, well, of course I don't worship you anymore. You're the one punishing me. So Satan is set up as a divine opposing force. Mm-hmm. It's only later that there's this mistranslation and Lucifer and all that jazz. Okay? And let's not kid ourselves. What did Lucifer rebel for? Okay? In basically every single text, it was, I don't want to follow God's rule anymore. I want to choose my own path. Lucifer's, or Samael, Samael's the ultimate rebellious force. Okay? And remember we were talking about this a little while ago. In the Bible, in the Quran, okay, and the Torah, women do not have to give permission for sex. Okay?
They can just get taken.
They don't need to give consent. No. If you look, there are, I mean, I would look up the quotes, but it's late now. But trust me, we can do it next time. Okay?
But is that to do with the origin of the hijab as well? It's like if they've got one on, then it means you can't take their purity.
Well, it is a form of control, yeah. So basically, women do not need to give sexual consent in those 3 main texts. Bust this. In the LaVey Satanic Bible, women do have to give consent. Literally, the Satanic Bible is the only one that requires women...
Wait, what?
Yeah.
The Satanic Bible is the only Bible that backs sexual liberation for women and says you actually should give consent. Yeah. The Satanic Bible.
Yeah. The LaVey Satanic Bible I'm talking about here. Okay.
What?
Yeah. No, it's a mind
blow.
Yeah.
Taylor, that's mad. No, Eve. Oh my days.
So I'll find the quotes for you next
time.
And
I ain't backing the Satanic Bible, but you also have to give it some flowers. You got to give it its respect.
Right. Here's the thing. Right. Okay. Now, I'm not a Satanist or anything like that, so please don't come at me in that way.
We're not.
But read the LaVey Satanic Bible. Okay. It is about self-empowerment and it is about sexual freedom. There's nothing in it about eating children or being evil at all. Okay? Because they are taking the context of Satan being the opposing force, about testing yourself, about testing, the current hierarchy and the way things are. It's about the most powerful word in any human language is not love, it's no.
Definitely.
Love's the most important and powerful emotion, perhaps.
But the most important.
But no is the most powerful word.
Powerful, okay.
Okay, and so opposition, not blindly accepting stuff. So, like I said, it's worth checking it out because it's an interesting read. And here's the thing, okay? Even if you're a devout Christian, Jewish
you have to read the thing.
You've got to read.
You can't, but they make you petrified to read it. It's the word of devil. Well, surely if you're so powerful in your belief of God, and you believe so much. It's like me. I will read and study anything because I know my truth in the Gohonzon, and I know my truth as a Buddhist. You know, no weapon formed against me shall prosper. I'm not scared of that. So it's amazing that you've had the courage to read these things, and it kind of it's almost like what makes sense is more in the satanic version than the so-called version that they're. In my opinion, I'll be honest. You know, the Bible, it's all inverted, and it's all. If anything, what you're saying is there's more truth and humanity in the satanic Bible than the Christian Bible.
Yeah, a lot of the time. A lot of the time. Very much, you can get the Satanic Bible in most bookshops. It's not like a forbidden text, and there's not, you know, you just need to sort of like just read it. Like I said, make your own. The whole point of this whole thing we're talking about is make your own mind up, educate yourself. But seriously, when I looked that up and saw that kind of blew my mind as well, because I was looking at the comparative bits, and it's just like it's ridiculous. But like I said, there's a much more consensuality in the Satanic Bible than there is in a lot of the others, because you find me a quote that says women are equal to men in any of the main three Abrahamic religions, and it's going to be really, really, really hard to find. Let's
say that again, just to make it. Find us a quote in any of the three major Abrahamic religions which say women are equal to men, yeah, and in the Satanic Bible by Anton LaVey, it actually suggests that women are...
Yeah, that you have to give consent.
That women actually should give consent before having sex. So fundamentally in the Abrahamic faiths, it's actually like just if you're a man, you're in charge, take it. I guess if the first ever woman came from the rib of a man and then the next man came from having sex with his own mother, in their theories, it gets really messy anyway.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, yeah. Wow. So it's important to sort of, like I said, just read. You read any of the main religious texts, you're going to find 1,000,001 contradictions.
Yeah.
But like I said, the key thing is this. Let's not forget. Right. So Mary was approximately 13 when she was married to Joseph, who was a fair bit older. Muhammad's first wife was 9. Okay?
Yeah.
Now, I mean, going into the Torah, there's lots of characters in that to sort of poke and prod at. So there's not one particular example to pull out, but that is important to take into account. Okay? So again, like I said, things have changed and humanity needs to move on. These are a lot of the time outdated paradigms with some great bits in it. I mean, the golden rule, do unto others as you would have others do unto you. That works.
Yeah.
That's a logical constant that you can apply. Yeah. Yeah? So I'm not saying throw it out. I'm saying look at it. See what's actually going on and question.
Skinny me. Sorry. Oh my God. This is mind-blowing information tonight. All right, I'm going to do a quick recap on what we've done because we're going to make a move. I'm going to make a move soon. So we've been discussing the story of creation, Adam and Eve, and I never knew this. This is why I went on live today. Skinny me, baby. I hope you're listening. Yeah, I never knew that there was actually a woman before Eve. Her name was Lilith. Yeah, wow. And Lilith wasn't made from the rib or biology of Adam. It was an independent, powerful woman that basically got writ out of the Bible. And isn't in the original Old Testament, but is an actual factual character of history. Lilith got removed for one simple reason. Lilith wanted to ride Adam, non-missionary. Yeah, and that was also a metaphor for her not wanting to be submissive. But it actually says in the texts that she wanted to get on top. Then I learned that the missionary position comes from when the English went to India. And the Indians, obviously, with the Kama Sutra and Shakti and Shiva and stuff, and all the deities, they were so liberated with sex that they called the English, the missionaries who came from there, they called the way that they had sex missionary position. How amazing is that? As an
insult, because it was boring.
As an insult, because it was boring. How incredible is that fact? Okay, cool. Now I'm going to blow your mind. And a lot of you you'll be like, oh my God, how did I never think of this? So Adam and Eve, yeah, so Lilith has been casted out of the Garden of Eden. And then Adam wanted a submissive wife that would just do what he would say. So God created out of the rib of Adam, some Marilyn Manson vibes, created a woman for him that would be submissive. And that was called Eve. Now, Adam and Eve had 3 children, Cain, Abel, and Seth. All boys. This is where it gets difficult to understand and difficult to respect. Where did humanity come from if there was only 3 boys? So at this point, there's 5 humans on the planet. There's Adam and Eve and 3 sons. So if they were going to continue the human race, even though Ryan's proved that you would need at least 50 different couples in order to make a strong genetic future, actually, that basically either Cain or Seth had sex with his own mother, Eve, in order to continue the human race. And so this is what we're discussing as two Buddhists looking at the Bible. What is it about, and can we be bold enough to look at the metaphors and what it actually means, and why has the matriarch and women always been written out of the Bible, written out of all the Abrahamic religions? And as Ryan just said, find me a quote in any of the major three Abrahamic religions which says that a woman is equal to a man, whereas he has found it in the Satanic Bible by Anton LaVey. That's the only religious text, the dirty Satanic Bible, can you believe it, that says that's the only time that a woman should actually be asked for consent to have sex. Because actually in the other three Abrahamic religions, it actually says just take it if you're a man. 73 people on the call, 82,000 likes on a Sunday talking about Jesus or Joshua. Can I get an amen? Wow. And that is the update, guys.
Oh, also, just to add, Amen is actually an old Egyptian king. So anytime someone ends a prayer with Amen, they're actually talking about an Egyptian king. That's where that comes from. It's not Christian at all. It comes from way before Christianity.
Wow.
Sorry,
wow.
Just want to drop that in because it makes me laugh.
So I'd say what's your Instagram again? Your TikTok, sorry?
Ryan Blake 673.
Ryan Blake 673, guys.
I'm also, if you want to be very confused, I'm also on Instagram, but my Instagram handle is www.rpgpod.
I mean, let's give them one more minute just to go and either go to your notes, or get a piece of paper and write this down if you want to follow on Instagram. We do, and also on my YouTube channel, which is linked in my link tree, you'll be able to find videos that we've done, long form videos discussing the myth of Jesus and the virgin birth, talking about Mary of Magdalene, and also talking about homophobic energy coming from Christianity is totally incorrect because Leviticus never said that. So we've decoded all of this like we're just eating chicken and chips, man. If Eve ate the apple of knowledge, why is it stuck in Adam's throat? I don't know what that means, sister, right now.
Don't know, but we can repeat the thing we said about that, but I don't know what you mean by stuck in a...
I'm not sure why it was stuck in his throat. I've not heard of that.
No.
Let me just have a check for last comments, and then...
I just something else, quick, because we're talking about genealogy. I just want to mention this, because it didn't sort of come up before. So, in Genesis, we are told...
Member of Cain, thank you.
That there are 2 of every kind of animal, okay? But later on, in Genesis 7.2, we're told there are 7 pairs of every animal and 2 of the unclean or non-kosher. Also, Jesus can trace his genealogy all the way back to Adam, which, as we sort of discussed, is a very dodgy proposition because that
means he's like some real incesty. The person said it's what's inside all men's throats, the Adam's apple.
Oh, Adam's apple. Sorry, yes, it is. It's there as a reminder. Sorry, you know what? I didn't think of it like that, but yes, the Adam's apple. Now, here's the thing. It doesn't really make sense because women do have an Adam's apple. It's just not as pronounced. And it's there, the idea that it's there as a constant reminder. Like Cain's circular mark on him so that everyone knows God's marks on him. And if you do anything to Cain, you get it back sevenfold, which I think is where the band Avenged Sevenfold comes from. Also, I want to point out that in Genesis 1, plants and animals are created before humans. In Genesis 2, man is created before plants and animals. So, it was a 7-day thing. It was a bit of a botched job anyway, but it's all very confusing. But, so the Adam's apple is there as a constant reminder, except it doesn't really work because, one, it doesn't look like women have it as well, it's just not pronounced.
Someone just said I used to call it Eve's apple when I was little. Ocean, how jokes.
There used to be a really good band called Eve's Plum. Just want to mention that because I went to see them, like they were very good. Yeah. But no, you're absolutely right. Sorry about the swallowing. Yes, it's a mark because, well, we talked about the entrapment, about if you don't know what's right and wrong, how can you be punished for doing something wrong if you don't know what right and wrong is? It doesn't make any sense. But that's the thing for another time. But yes.
Someone just said I find it so hard to navigate the Bible. Well, Amy, like I said, find my YouTube channel. And guys, this is not really about the Christianity now, but on October the 25th, and Ryan will be joining me, on October the 25th, we're going to be studying a book called The Buddha in Your Mirror, which has a beautiful foreword from Herbie Hancock. It's totally free if you join us live on Zoom. You have to DM me, though. I have to send you the link privately. And it'll be an hour or two, October the 25th, which is I believe it's a Saturday or a Sunday. one of the two, and it's at 8:30. So if you've got children, hopefully they're all asleep and you can just sit in your bed, have a little smoke, chill, whatever, have a drink, relax, and just let me take you through the journey of Buddhism. And it will no doubt last for about 14 weeks. And then if you miss any of them calls, you can find the pre-recorded ones on my Patreon. But I just want to put that 63 people on the call, 91,000 likes. Please send me a DM and I'll be able to support you. But thank you, Ryan. We smashed it. Completely unexpected. And
I think one person has started following me, so thank you for that one person.
yeah, and hopefully more will eventually. Yeah. Ryan Blake, what's the numbers?
673.
At Ryan Blake 673. We're gonna do a lot more, man. Yeah. And yeah. Anyway, peace. Thank you. Eve, I love you. BB4FS, I see you. And Taylor, of course. Megan, every single person. Persian Princess.
Oh,
Usun. Oh, no, it's just saying I'm just ready to end it. Yeah, man. Cool.
No, I thought someone was asking a question.
Jessica Lisa. No. Going on there now. It wasn't a clickable one for one reason.
Oh, I just add, I've just started on TikTok, so there's nothing.
Yeah, don't expect
there.
any like mad Jesus decodes yet, but like stay connected and you'll see what I go on. Someone just followed me. Anyway, Amy, thank you. Anyway, cool. I'm gonna love you and leave you. Bless.